Hi everyone! So today I'm going to be talking about this lovely Madoka costume. It's definitely one of my favourites that I have. It was a dream costume for so long and then I worked really hard to make it special and shiny and all sorts of lovely things. So something that you don't usually see but is a very important part of the silhouette is the petticoat, which is under here. And it's 10 layers of tulle netting with ruffles of organza and cotton. If I could go back, I'd probably just buy bulk satin ribbon because I wouldn't have to hem all of these ruffles. They'd be already cut and finished, and I think it'd look really pretty as well. So all of the ruffles come off a cotton underskirt that start at different increments but finish at the same length to create the bell shape. Because there are 10 layers that are all very specific lengths that need to be put in the right order, I labelled them all with little bits of paper with their layer number safety pin to them, and they were attached throughout the whole process until it was totally done. So the first part to each of these layers was hemming and gathering in the bottom ruffles, which add extra volume to the bottom, and then I gathered in each and every nylon layer that was sewn in order from bottom to top so that I wouldn't have different layers in the way while I was sewing them all on. There are also a bunch of bell petticoat tutorials online that I'll also link to below that will show progress pictures and diagrams and all sorts of measurements and stuff that will hopefully give you a better idea of how to make your own. Next up is this white skirt that I pretty much followed the Dangerous Ladies tutorial for. So the base is just a circle skirt of white cotton, and then there's a nylon netting stuff in the middle and cotton sateen on the outside. So the rectangles of netting and sateen are both double the hem of the circle skirt and then a little bit longer than the circle skirt as well for it to puff out. And similar sort of thing with the ruffles. I did 2 layers as well for just like a bit more poof to them. This skirt is like so full at the waistband that I actually had to hand sew it because it couldn't go through my machine without breaking a needle. And then just at the back it has an invisible zipper and a dress hook to finish it all off. So once I'd made the petticoat and the white skirt, I was able to pattern out the petal skirt that goes on top of those. I experimented with all different fullnesses to kind of decide what I wanted to do, and in the end it's a 3/4 circle skirt. There are 3 layers to this skirt. There's a striped silk satin, and then that's flat lined with a pink poplin, and it's all lined with a cotton homespun. This gradient lace sort of idea came from me being scared to gradient dye and not being able to do it evenly, or at least being scared of that. And it turns out it's actually not that hard, but I still really like the design, so I'm glad I went with it. So as you can probably tell, there's a lot going on here. There's a lace base that was cut from a lace fabric in this sort of shape, and then a pink lace fabric that was cut in the same sort of way, just along the top to blend it up with the pink. And then there are lace appliques like these ones here that were cut from like a lace trim and then hand sewn on. Once all the lace was on, I hand sewed on all of the sequins and the beads, and then I glued on all the rhinestones. When I first made this skirt, I just used acrylic rhinestones, but I've since realized how much better and shinier glass rhinestones are. So pretty recently I've added a whole bunch of glass rhinestones as well. This satin edging was patterned as a color block sort of deal, so that there's no visible top stitching. It was really difficult to sew, especially with so many sharp mitered corners, but I think it looks nice in the end and doesn't have any top stitching, which was my goal. So the skirt's fully lined with a matching cotton homespun, and then I added a invisible zip for the closure and a trouser hook at the waistband. The bodice is drafted to my measurements with very little ease, so it's super fitted. There are princess seams at the front and back for shaping, as well as colour blocking at the centre front. It was very important that I did a mock-up so that I could check that it all fits properly and the neckline is sitting right, and to mark out where I wanted the heart cut out in the back to be. So the bodice is made from a satin chiffon that is flat-lined with a plain cotton. The yellow parts are just a plain satin, and then it's covered in nylon lace. It has a pink acetate lining, which is really smooth and just feels very luxurious and lovely. The sleeves have a white lining, which is fitted to my arm in the length that I'd like this top portion to be. So the puff is a cotton jacquard that is covered in sequins and rhinestones and all sorts of things, and then that whole section is covered in a matte organza. So then the ruffle of the sleeves is a self-lined satin and a nylon lace. One of my favourite secrets of this costume is the centre front zip, which is covered by this button placket, but it's actually just a separable zip, which makes it super easy to get on and off. If I was really using buttons here on such a fitted garment, they would really gape out and not look good. The bows on either side are an interface silk, and they are hand sewn to the bodice. Another important thing to mention is that they are hand sewn up at these corners as well, which keeps them perky all of the time. I was sure to interface the centre back section so that it was strong enough to withstand the heart cutout. The cutout itself has a facing that was hand sewn to the inside. A fairly recent addition to this whole bodice is all of the sequins and rhinestones along the seams. Previously all the shiny bits were mostly on the skirt, and I felt like the top also deserved some pizzazz. The sock pattern came from tracing a pair of knee-high socks I already had and adding ease because the fabric I was using isn't as stretchy as the sock material. The top of the socks have lace and elastic to help it stay up. The pattern for the gloves was simply made by tracing out my hands, which I prefer to gusseted gloves because it's a lot easier to use my phone with them on. The gloves also have elastic and lace at the wrist, similar to the socks. I had some perfectly shaped shoes whose fake leather was peeling, so I covered them with spandex. So first I put on the shoes to make a tape pattern, then I flex bonded on the spandex. I glued on the lace straps and rhinestones and made little bows for the ankles. For her sole gem, I used resin and craft foam. I bought the wig on eBay because I needed it quickly, and I actually really like it. I think the curls it has in the pigtails are super cute. The only styling I had to do really was to trim the fringe. I hand sewed bows to the ponytail clips. And that's how I made the whole costume. Thanks so much for watching. I'll have links to places I bought things and tutorials I used below, as well as links to all of my social media and my website. I would appreciate it so very much if you could like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you next week.